Hey guys, and welcome back. So far we've managed to flatten the geometry, and we did this using points, and I have one more idea that I'd like to implement that requires VDB, and this is going to help us make perfect polygons around the edges, because looking at it right now we still have a lot of jagged polygons that we don't need, because after we flatten that we want something perfect. And the way we're going to do that is by creating another domain or another geometry around the boundaries, and then convert that into a VDB and merge it with a VDB representation of this. So let's take a look at this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy two nodes that I had before, and I'll show them here. So what this does is I scaled the geometry up, and then I scaled it down. So one is scaled outward and one is scaled inward. Let's do this, and then I'm going to clip the version that is scaled outward. I'm going to clip this geometry and delete below, and I'm going to fill it to make sure that I have a polygon. I have a closed geometry. So let's polyfill this. Okay, and let's fuse to make sure that everything is ready to be VDB'd. And the last thing is I'm going to create a boolean and do a boolean between these two. And here I'm going to set it to subtract, and I will show. So that's the geometry I'm looking for. And if I template this, you see it's it encompasses this, the original geometry, and then it adds a padding to it. And this is what we want, because we want some room here so we can easily blend it, and we want this to be nice topology all around the sim. So this is our core, and this is like a safe zone that we're going to create with nice topology that we can clip and delete, so we have a perfect mesh to blend with the ocean. And it's very, very important to have flat information, flat details at the edges, so that we can nicely blend it with the ocean later. And the best way to do booleans, or to integrate this information with this, is to use VDB. So we have to convert this back into a VDB. I'm going to use a VDB from Polygon, and it's very important to set the voxel size correct. Now, how do we compute this? When we made the VDB from Polygon here, the voxel size is going to be the particle separation multiplied by this. So let me open a calc. So 0.6 multiplied by 0.5, and that's the voxel size. Okay, that's what we need to use if we were to use this. But because I did the VDB resample and I increased the voxel size to 3, let me set this. Sorry, 0.6 multiplied by 3, and then multiply this by 0.25. So this is the value I need to use after I upscaled, and I will go back and change this in a bit. So I'm going to set this value here, and it's going to convert the geometry into a polygon again. And it's very important to use the right size, because otherwise, if we don't do this, we will lose details in here, and we don't want that. Okay, so let's do the same thing. I'm going to copy this, and it's best to have the same voxel information, and I'm going to use a VDB combine, and set this to SDF union. And now we should have a perfect blend between that and this. Cool. So let's convert our final geometry into polygon again. And I'm going to set this to 0.01, maybe 0.05. And that's our geometry. And we have perfect topology now all around. And the last thing is I'm going to put down a delete node. And I'm going to set this to domain bounding box. And I'm going to use the same information of the area, but we need to add some padding to them. So let's copy this. So paste relative reference, and then here I'm going to copy this and set this to paste relative reference as well. And I'm going to add +7 here. So let's take a look. Set this to delete non-selected. And I'm going to increase it by 7 and by 8 here. And now we have perfect topology all around. And let's see one last thing. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete both of them. I want to scale the geometry, the domain, or the delete up a bit. Just move this up to delete that surface there. And let's take a look. And now we have a perfect mesh. And let's go back and turn this off. I'm going to turn off the resample. And I'm also going to set this to 0.15, like the calculation that we did. And let's copy this value here, paste relative reference. And let's see how long, let's see how this is going to look and work. So it's going. I have it here. It's everything we've done. We've occupied 20 gigabytes, and I also have another session of Houdini that is using a little bit of memory. So let's see how this is going to look and work. Yeah, it's pretty much done. Yep, it is done. So this is our final mesh with all the details and perfect geometry around the boundaries, and there is no issues or anything like that. This is going to be easy to blend and work with. And that's pretty much it for the geometry. I have one more thing that I want to do, which is to extend this if we needed more geometry around this. I'm going to create a group node. And let's see, I'm going to group by region. And I'm going to copy the values from the delete. So paste relative reference here. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to scale them in so I don't select the outer points. Just that. I'm going to do the same for all of them. Just leave the ring outside. Now there is a way to select open edges, but that doesn't mean that it's only going to be there, and that's why I'm doing it by hand like this. Okay, and let's create a group. Combine. I'm gonna invert that group. So it's group 1, and then it's equal. The group is the group 1, and then it's equals all but group 1, and so that's gonna invert the outer ring. And then I'm gonna group promote that to convert it into an edge. And I'm gonna promote it from point into edge. And include only elements entirely contained in original group. And then if we extrude this, and let's hope it's gonna cancel. So group 1, I'm gonna set this to 20, and that should extend this like that. And I'm gonna add 20 divisions to add more resolution here. We can add more, and this is how you extend your sim if you need more room. You extend it safely. Now the last thing that is left for us to do is to figure out how we can delete the geometry around the whale. We will do that in the next video. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in a